Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is scamming people with so-called educational books aimed at kids. So now the Daily Beast reports that under the guise of education, Huckabee and Florida investor Bradley Saft had been aggressively pushing conservative propaganda. Now, they've actually been doing this for a long time, for at least a decade. So now they're using this, or they're doing this through the Learn Our History and the Kids Guide brands. So now these are part of Everbright Media, and they circulate DVDs and brightly colored booklets that purport to tell the real unfolding story of the United States. Now, of course, when you look into these, you realize that these are not at all educational materials. In fact, their chapters offer lessons in fighting socialism, cancel culture and free speech, and media bias and fake news. Among other things, of course, like, for example, calling all immigrants terrible and terrorists that want to hurt your family. So, yeah. Now, the recent Kids Guide to Cancel Culture and Freedom of Speech promises to help families fight narrow-minded educators, school boards, and watch children through the evils of cancel culture, something they say that happens when the media bans people who don't agree with their views. Now, that is kind of ironic because, again, conservatives are incredibly soft. Why? Why do I say that? Well, again, just recently I showed you Newsmax program Grant Stinchfield, who kicked a war veteran off his program for lightly criticizing Donald Trump over Afghanistan. The guy blew a fuse. And so, you want to talk about cancel culture, right? Republicans are OG cancel culture, literally burning books, banning books, trying to ban D&D, praising China, by the way, for cracking down on video games and quote-unquote effeminate men. That's another thing that's going on here. And so OGs of cancel culture, they're so soft, they're so weak, they love their safe spaces. Now, of course, a lot of these segments pretty much come down to projection. And that's what it's about. They scream about liberal indoctrination of the children, well, then, of course, literally indoctrinating children. And I want to give you some examples of that. The crazy stuff that they're going to teach your kids. The Kids Guide to Media Bias and Fake News warns children that the media is biased against faith in God, lower taxes, smaller government, and the right to bear arms. The media's corporations. They're gigantic companies. Of course they love lower taxes and smaller government. And by smaller government, they mean less regulations on corporations. Are you kidding? All right. No, there's more. It gets crazier. The Kids Guide to Fighting Socialism teaches them that rich people, well, they don't need to be taxed more because they already share their wealth by spending money to buy goods and services. So wait a minute. Spending money, rich people spending money on themselves, buying themselves things like yachts and mansions, that's them sharing their wealth. See, we don't need to tax them. They bought stuff. Look at that. I bought a brand new Lamborghini. I am sharing the wealth. Well, if that's the case, why don't you share the wealth by letting me borrow your car? Well, what are you, a communist? You can't borrow my car. It's mine. It's mine. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But there is more to this indoctrination. In fact, I want to show you one of the videos that they put out. This is one of their quote-unquote free videos. Take a look.
The American founders invoked our Creator 4 times in the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Our religious liberty is enshrined in the very First Amendment in the Bill of Rights.
God figures into all things. and is the basis for our precious freedom.
Values of love, charity, and faith built this nation.
What terrible ends would we suffer without God's daily guidance?
But our media culture often mocks and demeans people of faith.
The truth is that God and religion had very little impact on the formation of America, and even less on what the country has become.
Our nation today is divided. It will be our faith in God, in His teachings, in each other, that will lead us back to unity. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
That is the most cringy shit I've ever watched. Wow. There's so much in there. Absolutely horrible. So again, the graphics are terrible, obviously. The animation is just dog shit. And of course, can't talk about dog shit unless you involve Donald Trump. So
big, massive dumps.
Absolutely terrible. But again, you look at it, this is propaganda that is towards kids, children. And wow, they're really pushing that religion. It's ironic because, you know, we have a country that is secular, that is built on a separation between church and state. And by the way, there's a reason for that. For one, of course, you don't want government in control of the church. That would be terrible. You also don't want the church in control of the government, because that's fundamentalism. That's what Iran does. So, but these fundamentalists, they want to put their own Christian mullahs in to run the country. Fundamentalism. And of course, by the way, the other thing that was funny is that they talked about unity, right? And they showed a Confederate. I'm sorry, I don't want unity with Confederates. I mean, seriously, the Confederates literally attacked America. Why are we talking about unity? Total blatant propaganda. And by the way, this is so bad that even conservatives hate this. In fact, the Daily Beast quotes Laura Klinger, who had picked up a Christopher Columbus DVD at a homeschooling convention back in 2013. She told the Daily Beast that she is, quote, in shock that this company is still in business. The first thing that struck me was how crappy the graphics are. They were just trying too hard to relate to kids, said the mother of 5 in Cato, New York. I didn't agree even with the history that they were trying to teach. She said the way it was skewed, I remember wondering, is that even true? No, it's not. You might want to trust your gut on that one. I mean, look, when when a bullshit detector on a conservative Christian goes off on this kind of stuff, that's how you know they've gone too far. So now there's another one. Mandy Jones of Albany, Wisconsin, got a free pamphlet for her 8-year-old daughter. When she flipped through the copy of the kid's guide, Birth of the Revolution, for the very first time, she was actually shocked at how openly biased it was. Whoa. Now I wish I would have read it before I would have given it to her, because I didn't know that it was so political, said Jones, who described herself as very Republican, but still found the approach distasteful. You know what else parents found distasteful about this entire thing? As I mentioned, free pamphlet. Turns out that same person, Jones, ended up with a $20 credit card charge on her credit card for a recurring subscription to this blatant propaganda. Yeah. So, and again, that goes to the scam part of it. Turns out for years, parents who've signed up to receive this material, this supposedly free material from Learn Our History and the Kids Guide, have actually complained about surprise recurring monthly bills. BuzzFeed, HuffPost, and the Arkansas Times have also taken them to task for scamming these parents. By the way, these are people who are, this is his audience. These are conservatives that he is scamming. They ain't scamming no libs. No, he's taking his own people and people who might agree with him and being like, not only am I going to put out this blatantly false bias bullshit, but I'm also going to take your money. All right, well, in fact, one article criticized them for distributing, quote, Christian nationalist revisionism and right-wing political propaganda. And again, if that wasn't enough, the scam continues. In 2017, Everbright started offering dedicated subscribers with something called tuition points that they said could be redeemed at certain private colleges across the country, a quarter of which happened to have been faith-based institutions. Huckabee himself put out a video promising 1,000 tuition points for signing up. Then, as an active Learn Our History customer, we'll give you another 250 points worth $250 in college tuition savings each month. Wow, look, oh wow, free money for college. Except, of course, those points are not actually redeemable for money. They're not actual dollars. It's nothing. They're not, you might as well be monopoly money. And, by the way, that website, that program disappeared. The tuition points are useless. In fact, the business partner had cut ties years ago over concerns that College Save, that was a program, wasn't a real business. Oops. Parents who went to check on the status of their points can no longer do so. The website, collegesave.org, is no longer there, no longer exists. Oops. And by the way, earlier this year, actually redirected to a profile page for a webcam porn star. Don't go to collegesave.org. Don't do that. The org now stands for orgasm. Okay? Wow. So not only do they deceptively sign you up for a subscription to send you massively biased propaganda that, by the way, if you're like a homeschooler and you learn this stuff, you're not learning anything. It's not worth a goddamn. It's worth absolutely nothing. There's absolutely no educational value in this at all. Nothing. It is so incredibly far from the truth that your kids, if you teach this to your kids are dumber as a result. They know even less than real money. Or I'm sorry, than anyone else. Okay? They know less than anyone else. It's ridiculous. And again, Mike Huckabee and his business partners, they're laughing all the way to the bank. Absolute scam artist. Look, Donald Trump would be absolutely proud. Let's just say that. But again, this is what they're doing. And yet they want to say that the left is doing the indoctrination of kids by actually teaching them facts. Come on. Never, ever put your trust in a right-wing organization, even if you're conservative. You look at these organizations, what are they after? What is the number one thing? They're after your money. They're all about taking your money while making your kids dumber. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.